Hey everybody, it's Maiden, part 2 on this issues for today. September 27th is today, part 2. It is now 11:16. Okay, so I want to talk about our Supreme Court and our court systems and our judicial system. Okay, now the heartbeat of our judicial system, the bottom line comes down to the heart and soul of our justices. Okay, they're the ones that are making the last final decision. If you're even a jury by trial, the people will be the ones to dispense the verdict, but the justice is the one that is going to inevitably be administering that verdict. So the bottom, where Maiden is concerned, myself and what I represent before God and to my country and to the world, is to make sure that the articulation of any kind of encroachment is being spoken about. Okay, and this is part of what is hard for me, is to continue on these issues, to articulate what is not being spoken about concerning the value of the people. Okay, so our Constitution is a body of law. Okay, it is the security of how we should be functioning in a specificity of system structure. And if we deviate from that, too far, I am going to be articulating what has happened here to undermine our position. So the Treaty of Paris of 1783 was negotiated between the United States and the Great Britain. Okay, and it ended the Revolutionary War, supposedly, and it recognized America's independence, supposedly. All right? So the Continental Congress named a 5-member commission to negotiate a treaty, which is John Adams. Make sure you understand these perpetuities. John Adams, okay, first name, last name, perpetuities. Benjamin Franklin, John J. Thomas Jefferson, and Harry Lawrence. Okay. Now, what this did was it stopped all the fighting, and it said that Britain was coming forward to say that Great Britain and the United States of America were now going to be able to function outside of the American Revolution, the American Revolution, all right? And when this all was supposed to be signed off on, it never really did get what attention it needed. So to make a long story short, this particular portfolio, 1783, is still live today in the new Treaty of Paris, which is in the current events now. And yes, it is the same portfolio, and it is over the same issues, except for the money is bigger now, okay, because we have a compounded interest in this portfolio. Okay, so what am I trying to say? We went from a sovereign nation to a corporate identity at that time, okay? And the smart ones and the ones that weren't so smart, the disparity between how high the thinking was during some of this negotiation and how illiterate the critical mass was, and the disparity between the two. Was there anybody really representing the people? Negative, no. Basically, these were Her Majesty's people on both sides of the issue, okay? And this was just basically a setup for this incorporation that is now our structure, okay? It's an administration versus a judicial. Now, how does this work inside of the courts? Okay, so back up a little bit. Now, before the Treaty of Paris, our judicial system just say we we structured it exactly the same. Say we all the branches, executive, judicial, civil, all that. Okay, so say we had that structure, but we didn't have the incorporation identity. We stayed sovereign. Okay, now what would that look like today? Okay, that would look like you and I, as the common man, citizen, would be acknowledged as a sovereign. Okay? Now, if we had the proper, back in the day of 1783, if we had the proper, these guys everybody's life was taken who signed our Constitution. Pretty much everybody died for that. Okay? So it's not like these guys were weak soldiers. They were willing to give up what they had for this. But who they were for this. Okay? Their lives. They gave their lives for this issue. Okay? But in the process of them, ending their lives being ended, any internal vision these guys had for freedom, their voices were silenced. That's why people end up being killed, is because the 1% want to kill their voice, is what it is. Okay? They don't want them speaking into this sovereign issue. Why? Because they are these control guys. My first part of this video this morning was about this issue of control. Okay, the 1% in bed with every sector overriding, if they want to, every issue. Okay, through their power to kill someone or, blow something up or, whatever they decide. Whatever they decide they're going to do. And they have all of the aces in their, reach. They can get them if they don't have them, and they have access, rather, to everything. Privileged access. Okay. So when you look at the compromise, which is exactly what that is, it's a huge compromise to intrinsically take away the quintessential identity of what this freedom means, true freedom means. Take away the value, take away the identity, take away the detail of it, and replace it subtly with the counterfeit. Okay? Now, America, you're smarter than that. Okay? Can I just tell you? We're all smarter than that. But what we have now is a judicial system that is not judicial. It is administrative. Okay, you literally could close the doors of our courts right now, open offices, and process paperwork. That is exactly what has happened to our judicial system. It's an administrative system that is honor and corporation emphasis. Okay, all human lives have become corporations. All of them have become banks with full disclosure. All of those banks have the wealth in them, okay, of the individual. But the individual has been duped to believe that we're in this judicial system where we're not. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg makes me cry because it has to do with the faith of the justices having a heart, a real soul, a real experience of America to refer back to. And she says that. How Bloomberg interview was about meeting President Obama. You like President Obama? She's like, yeah, we went to we met at this, the Senate, when we had the Senate come to the dinner over, the Supreme Court dinner, being host to the senators, the new senators. And she said that's when she first met the new senator from Chicago, President Barack Obama, or, Barack Obama before he was president. So my point is that she is a justice that refers to her beginnings, and she has great respect for where she came from and how she had to journey her way to where she is, and all of the ups and downs that had to do with that. And it has allowed her to stay human And that is what we're missing, is the human element. And that is the encroachment of everything around us in this Paris Treaty, taking from us in 1783 the quintessential identity of America as humans, and supporting that as sovereignty was replaced for this incorporated structure that we're in now. Okay, and that's why the 1% is gotten so powerful, because it is an incorporated 1% is a 1% corporation. It's the top corporations, the biggest corporations, okay? And so it isn't the biggest people, it's the biggest corporations. If you sit down and interview, like CBS does, these CEOs, they're not even the originators of these corporations. They're the founder. It's very rare you're going to find the original founder, like Prudential, who has the UN accounts. Okay, that's a family insurance company since 1700s, all right? And they're still in bed right there with the UN all this way, okay? And they probably have a lot to do with this. UN structure is undermining our American structure because of this Paris Treaty. Okay, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg brings back that hope, okay, because right now, America's faith and trust is breached. Right now, the faith of the people has been breached in every sector, and in every checkbook, and in every congressional action. Congress has been told these are confidential issues, and you do not speak about these in public. They have their issues list, okay? All the top, sectors, media, papers, magazines, everybody, judicial. These are the issues of confidentiality, and these are the issues you cannot talk about, okay? And one of those issues is the Delaware, okay, structure, which was established back at the Paris Treaty time, 1700s. Okay, so Her Majesty, back in the 1700s, went ahead and made sure that the Delaware structures were allowing no backflow, only internal going in, taxes going in, right? And the tax issue, which is now in front of our Congress, is undermined. The actual America completely is undermined, really, by these 1700 issues, okay? So the 1% representing right now in 2017, okay, is holding the portfolio assets of 1700s of America, holding these assets still from the 1700s to all the way to today. Those portfolios are still active, especially if a 1700 issue is coming back into our current event news under the same exact labeling as that particular portfolio, which is the Paris Treaty. Okay? Paris Treaty, from the beginning, was about a subtle implementation of structure to bring the revenue forward via taxing, okay, and then making sure that the structures only flowed one direction. They didn't flow back to the people, okay? Now you can say, well, what about the tax cuts? Okay, I got you there, but I have your back on that. But let me just tell you, you have no idea the wealth that's been embezzled by these structures since the 1700s, okay? All right, so my point is that the Bible talks about all of this, all right? Now, Jesus had, was with his disciples, and Peter was one of his fishermen, okay? Today, the status of fishing is called a privilege, okay? You need a special permit to fish or hunt, all right? And that tracks you. Okay, everything about you is being tracked. If you're a fisherman or a hunter, yeah. So back to the issues about Jesus. So he's with his guys, and they're not catching anything. And he sends them out there, and he's like, okay, here's what you do. And he gives them specific instructions about how to fish, right? And, you know, he's sitting on this shore or calling out to them, one of the two, whatever. I mean, you know, he's instructing them what to do. And as they follow his instructions, they get a return of investment so much far greater than they could have ever thought they could have ever gotten. They were tripping out. They were freaking out. Their nets were breaking. I mean, they were just like, wow. And they had been out there without his help, and they caught nothing. Okay. So what was the conversation when they all came back to shore? Okay, was it about the fish? Was it about, wow, I'm so proud of you guys, you know, now follow those instructions because that's, you know, that's how to fish, you know, is that what Jesus said to them? No. Mm-mm. What he said to them is that right now you're fishing for fish, but it will be in your heart to be fishers of men. Okay? The revenue that is the true investment, that is the return, the high return of investment, is when you invest in the people. And when you really focus on fishing, which is going out and putting out there your nets. And what is the net now? The predatory net is the internet. Okay? And the predatory net, the predatory net, the net has become predatory is what I'm trying to say. Okay? So if you're a person, you're being fished for. Okay? And if you're a person, a human being, nets are going out to catch you. Okay? And to bring you back in. Now, what is Jesus looking at when he's seeing these nets going out? He's looking at your motive. He's looking at if you're going to if you're fishing for men and you catch somebody like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and you support her and you help her and you listen to her and you respect her and you put her in a place of influence to bring forward change, substantial change having to do with women on the playing field, women being billionaires, women having value as a mother, and, you know, bringing the focal point back to the fishing of the men. It's not just men. It's men, women, children. It's the fishermen. It's the fishers of men, women, children, to bring them in, not to sell them, but to bring them in to cultivate a covenant. Your wealth is to establish the covenant of God, and that's biblical, in people's lives, and help them to connect to their blessings, okay, like you guys did with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's been injured. Okay? And so I'm not saying you did a perfect job supporting her because there were things that she went through she didn't have to go through. Okay? Praise God, it turned into a wonderful result and you can see her there. But God's heart is to, any kind of taxes to pay into a system is not to be ever in the tone of abuse or torment, or how the IRS has gotten everybody afraid. Okay, that's terrorism. That has become, since 1700s to now, a trap of terrorism. Okay, there is no breaking of the law in the true essence of the transaction of a person bringing forward a tribute. Okay? The true blessings of a tribute is a free heart offering, it's a love offering, bringing forward their offering of thankfulness. And it's the difference between when you go out to dinner or lunch or something at a restaurant and they already have the tip on there and you never got a chance to really present your own expression of that tip. And whenever I get a receipt, I look to see if the taxes, if the tip is already on there. And it is oftentimes, and it's very, it's hard, it's difficult to even sign off on that because you're going, okay, I want to give you a tip, but you guys have already put a tip on here, and it's already calculated in and taxed, by the way. So my point is that if our structures were to align with the true essence of our sovereignty, it would be the final decision of all mankind, women, children as well, to give the tribute out of a free expression of thankfulness. You would have such a different result at the time of tribute than you do at the time of tax. Okay? The word tax needs to go away. When Jesus told his disciples, go out and you'll find a fish, another fish, okay? And open their mouth and you'll find a golden coin and go give that for the tribute to Caesar, okay? So when Jesus was honoring different people in the systems, he didn't ever point out flaw. He always focused on give of your thankfulness. Go get that and give it to, and it's a spirit. It's this spirit of two worlds, literally two worlds, okay? And God is saying here, you are in, he goes, you're in this, you're on the world, but you're not of the world, okay? You're here having this experience for a character journey of love and care and be a blessing to the world, okay? But he's like, you're here, but you're not of here. You're of another place, okay? And I've created you like that to bring the supernatural dimension to the world of your dominion and authority. And it's next level. Where we are with God is next level. This structure where we have it right now is so low in vibration to honoring the fullness of our capacity, okay? But the control of the 1%, like at this Paris Treaty thing, 1783, it is so antiquated and so one-sided and so minuscule when it comes to vision. There is no fostering of imaginative vision here as far as any kind of structure to support the truth of who we are. So contract law, okay, they have taken this law, okay, in propria persona, which is your true identity in truth, okay, we're all sovereign chief principles of our credit, okay, so the credit system is complete slavery, and any banker will tell you that. We have given you maybe 1% disclosure on the true wealth of your representation, what you represent, and we have embezzled 99.9% of it and given you the debt side, which is not the entire enchilada, but we've given you the burden, and we are enjoying the revenues. And we're our Delaware structure since the 1783, that's still in place to keep you guys out. And so now our courts have given way to being bought by the bank. That's called a pocket court. Okay, so the banks have bought the courts, And we are in obstruction of justice continually, okay? And if our Congress really wasn't a cowardice, they would all get together and say, we are going to rededicate our Constitution to a judicial system, okay? That is not a corporate system, and that all corporation stuff is separate system, okay? And in that is only administration, blah, 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 if that's what you guys want. But the judicial system, I have personally been so abused by being a person, regular commerce. I'm so, such a typical citizen, right, of the United States of America. My mother was separated from me from the courts when I was 10 years old for insanity and child abuse and neglect. I became a ward of the court of Arizona because my father abandoned us 5 years earlier. And so I have been raised by America system. I have been a ward of the court since I was 10 years old. Okay? And they dropped me. And they forgot about me. And I've never, ever been in, it's really kind of a trip, okay? So my point is that when you start from a disadvantage to the point where I have started, and I am 56 years old, and I've believed in all of the system since I was little, okay? I've been a pastor's wife. I became a born-again Christian, believed in the churches, believed in the church system, started as a Catholic, moved from there over to a Christian system, and stayed in the Christian system, obeyed the Christian system, tithed to the Christian system, brought tons of people forward to give their life to Jesus in the Christian system, and I have seen some terrible atrocities in the administrative government of the church over people, God's true people, okay? God's true believers, okay? The ones that he talks about in the Bible about how I'm going to take my church, yeah, those are my brothers and my sisters, okay? But when you see your own pastor's wife for over 30 years get divorced, not by her choice, but because somebody found a younger version of whatever. And you can testify. I've watched this woman play the piano, worship God, love God, serve God. All that is required to bring people to Jesus. Is she real? Yes, she's totally the real deal, okay? And she gets left behind, right? Full disclosure. Everybody knows this lady. She gets left behind, and God picks up the slack. So it's not God who I have any issue with, but it's the system that I have issue with. And the disclosure of her value to the disclosure that she's given, and she's cleaning toilets for a property management company after all of this time that she should be honored in her retirement, okay? And does she have a fabulous attitude about it? Yes. And is she an incredible a testimony for God? Absolutely. But did the system fail? Yes. Big time. And it goes on and on and on like that. So when you see criminals making money hand over fist because they've circumvented this system and they have gone into a lifestyle, generation after generation, in terms of the Italian mafia, okay? And the Italian mafia has yet to believe in a full-blown honest system. And I know that when we can come forward in the truth of our system and our protections and the honoring of our inalienable rights, every single sector in America will feel that boost of morale, that boost of, dude, we are totally getting honored, okay? 16 sectors need to go on auto pay. And every house, every car, college, basic necessities, mother's salary, all of the things that have been in poverty sectors come out of there. Not on an entitlement of welfare. Hello, that's gone. Okay? Wherever that started needs to go away. Okay? And it goes into a tribute system. We're going into a tribute system. And the Congress needs to tribute the people with this sector, 16 sectors. If they're outside of the 16 sectors and they're doing other investments, blah, 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 that's their business. But in 16 basic sectors of living, that is on an auto-pay status, and part of that is our healthcare system. Okay? So the Maiden God has given me, I don't look like much to you guys, I know it. I can tell by my daily day, that I don't, you look at my life so disrespectfully, I am blown away at it. Because God is saying, Misha, I want you to give what I give you freely. I want you to give it freely. And I am going to watch your trustees take what you say and take what you give and turn that, through obedience, because that's in our inalienable rights, right? That we are the sovereigns and I can demand obedience based on my rights. And I'm saying to you this, line up this country back to our original faith in Jesus Christ. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody else's religion, but I'm just trying to say, you have to look, if you were building a car or you were building anything else, okay, and you had one template that worked and you had one template that didn't, would you be going over to the template that was working and seeing how can I duplicate this? It's working, you know what I mean? And it's working well. And God is saying to you guys who are powerful, I am watching your stewardship, and nothing is hidden from God, okay? Your portfolios, of ancient decisions and treaties that are still alive today, that's what you should be all having on your conference table today, okay? And the compromise of our judicial heart and soul of our justices, because our justices don't even have to do that right now. None of them have to rule from their heart here, the way that you guys have it. And in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where it's so entrenched in this ring in cabal, they don't look at the character of the issue anymore. Okay, I've been in 4 cases against these conglomerate banks, and one I'm still in, and they are hurting me. Okay, they're hurting my husband, who is one of the most upstanding citizens in this state and in the United States. Okay, born and raised here, and has a tremendous public following of people to sit you down and tell you the kind of guy this guy is. Okay, it's his name that's gotten stolen. It's his name that's gotten his state that has gotten pilfered on being in these court cases. Okay, we have evidence that on the PNC case that they've gone in and taken $10 million out of liens in his name. Okay, because they know the Valdez estate, Herrera Rivera, is this guy's bloodline, and they can go in and attach through the docket. All right, so you guys are getting exposed. Your ways are becoming exposed. The structures are becoming exposed. All of you players are being implicated. And I am simply here to tell you, it's all happening. The breakdown in all of the states is happening. Okay? And you can't keep staying in Congress and lying your way through this. All right? Because there will become such an uproar unless it is done with respect to take our judicial system back and saying from this day forward, we are going judicial. We are prioritizing, regardless of statutes and rules and laws and all that. It is our Constitution that takes precedence over all other codes, rules, statutes, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And by you guys taking an inferior body of legislation to cover up the compromise of all of us being institutionalized, and how you've done this through the Patriot Act, even making it more embedded of whatever, you know. These acts that are of treasonous support, because that's what this is. This is treason. This happened a long time ago, and it's just been an inertia all this way through. And our leadership, presidential leadership, needs to pull the sheets off the bed of this, as ugly as it might be, and say we are returning to the essence of our constitutional law, being the body of law that is going to be the rule of law. And we will only build good law in that law. Okay? Because right now, the cabals, the mafias, and the 1% have the stage. They get everything they want because it's criminal power. But Congress, I have a question for you. Are you supporting criminal power? Are you adhering to the pressures and cowarding under a status quo compromise? Yes, you are, and our bankers are too, and our top insurance company is too, and our tax codes and all of that. It's more of the treasonous substantiation of support, evidence of the substantiation of support. So who is ever going to rise out of that? Our attorneys? No. Why? Because they are beholden to the bar. And the bar is the ambiance of supporting this charade. So you need a champion. Okay? I don't look like much. And I cannot take the presidential seat. I'm just going to be extremely forthcoming with you guys. I cannot take this presidential seat without very powerful people coming to visit me in Santa Fe, New Mexico at my building. And if it's on a weekend, you're not going to get in the building, so you might want to, call me ahead of time. And all my information's on Facebook to reach me. And they have blocked my phone. And they are watching everything because I've invited them to do that. Okay? So you better have some kind of clout to get past the little wall of, sequester that I'm in. And it's by your power that we go to the White House. Okay? It's by your power that we take this campaign of freedom that God has given me and seeing it materialize. Okay? And is there, when you sit Hillary Clinton and I up for a debate, it's going to get interesting. Going to get interesting. And I will never disrespect her, But it's like Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, you agree to disagree, and you learn how to do that well. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect at that because I won't ever cuss at anyone or anything like that. But if I start raising my voice in indignation, it's not necessarily not coming from God. Sometimes it's coming straight from God, right out of me. The righteous indignation of a lot of this exploitation versus illiteracy. Okay? And I'm on the side fighting for the underdog. I'm on the side of this fighting for the little guy. Okay? Because that's what I am. I'm one of the little guys. And that's why I love Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because she literally is the littlest one there, So, God's heart is committed to revealing the powerful value that we all possess. The church has failed the very believers that they have come visit them every Sunday and pay tithe to. The church has become so selfish and ingrown and blind, completely like blind, mute, everything about truly having an urgency to value the people in the church. You know, sometimes the people in the church, when a person gives their life to Jesus and goes to that church for all their life, that's their family. Well, that's the very family that I was torn away from when that was my family. Yuma, Arizona, you know who you are. You guys, beautiful church there. And I was taken away from there to go plant a church in Los Alamos, New Mexico, which I made my family. And Santa Fe, New Mexico since then, which I've made my family. But I have never returned to my homeland, which is Santa Monica and Santa Cruz and California coastline. Now that's all being threatened. You know, it's like my trustees, God is watching you. God is watching you. Okay, because you guys are all in my credit. You guys are totally ripping me off. I don't feel the benefit of your blessing in my life. True beneficiaries and true trustees care about the very person that you're spending money on their name. Okay? And anybody who's spending money in my name, God is showing me slowly, and my husband's name, slowly showing me, okay, this one. And I'm telling you, Santa Fe Ring, you're on notice because I have contacted Attorney General Balderas. Guess how much interest I have gotten from him? Goose egg, 0. Okay? Department of Justice, 0 respect to me personally. I've gone to the FBI office, the brand new one, down off of Rodeo Road. You know, the guy sat there and tapped his toe and looked at me, you know, whatever. And I want you to know something. The Maiden of Santa Fe, Misha G. Valdez, is going to take the advice of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And my character that God is using, that people want to know, well, what's God doing in your life? Okay? What God is doing in my life is building a character in me of determination that I am not going to treat you the way that you've treated me, with disrespect. But the work that God is doing in my life is treat you the way that I want to be treated. Okay? And that is with respect. And I do have your back. And these cases that I've been in that you guys have attached to our lives for the last 5 years, and I've gotten absolutely nowhere with that. And I know that it will literally kill me, okay, if I continue in it, because it is so harmful to me, all right, to continue to hit this wall over and over and over. The law, the realms of law are so duplicitous. And you guys have turned them all into labyrinths, like you did Dodd-Frank. And all of the elite systems are all like a labyrinth or a maze. And you know, if you're really in them, they fast track you past all that. You know, you're not even going to law school. They're just going to give you an honorary degree, and now, okay, there you go. Okay, you're not even going to go through the motions of the military, but we're going to give you that status and medals and blah, blah, blah. You know, the privileged have failed the people of America because they haven't fulfilled their duty. I wouldn't be sitting here in the condition that I'm in, my husband's estate, in the condition that it's in, if you guys were doing your job. So all these layers of beneficiaries and all these layers of trustees and how you guys all sit in your high finance offices and conferences of board of directors and blah, 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 that are completely out of touch with reality, you have failed miserably. You have failed your own objectives. You have failed America. And you have failed the 99.9% that has believed in you. Okay? So the breach of trust is evidentiary since 1783. And until we can actually open up these yield spreads of transparency, full disclosure, and reveal the surname value. And and let me tell you something. If people say, well, those treasuries are empty, we hit Puerto Rico because that was the vault, right? And that was the home of America. That's the real mother lode of wealth sitting over there hidden in Puerto Rico. And they're not letting us see where it is. The treasure is there somewhere, but we don't know where it is. Okay? That's a bunch of crap. And you guys know it. Right? So it's high time for you 1% to go get into your vaults, grab your portfolios of assets having to do with America, come to the table, evaluate the transparency. It's probably a strong 1%. And find the Delaware structures, okay? Find the surname lists, all of them, because there's a ton of honoring that needs to happen. You do need to create a new currency for this. And this is brand new, pristine books. So you guys own the printing presses. You own everything. Go for it. Go for it. And start distributing this wealth. And there is no excuses. If they say, well, there's no, we don't know where that is, or we don't know where this value is, and blah, blah. Okay, if you want to see substantiation of the value that I'm speaking of, you go to your medical sector and you bifurcate it out like they have. You fractionalize it out like they have. And you'll find your value. They hid it from you. So don't expect it to just, jump out at you. They're geniuses at hiding wealth. Okay? Okay, so that is my underlying whole issue of undermining. That is the emphasis that is going on under all of these other issues. So Puerto Rico, that's what's going on. There's a huge financial vault there. You'll find it if you look for it. Okay, the media, the main media of the television industry, okay, you guys, and movie industry, television is one sector, movies another sector, and you guys have gone from the very beginning of this sector, from the very beginning of Hollywood, it's Britain, okay? So the Paris Treaty, revenue, Britain. This issue of television and media, Britain, okay? Most of the big sectors, you're going to find the revenue streams going, the primary yields are going to be showing dividends to the common man, but the secondary is where the real yield spreads are that are hidden, okay? And that's where you guys want to be. And now when I say secondary, I'm not talking about the SEC jurisdiction. I'm talking about the behind the veil thing. Okay, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg was saying, if you try a case with a veil between you and the person, you're going to get a whole lot different response. They can't see what kind of they're going to be reading your voice and all that, but there's a neutrality that needs to come back to bring full justice. Okay. Okay, yeah, so this basically undermines everything, my issues, right? The flying in and out, the privatization of flights. We have these big airline flight, airlines, privatized airlines, and they're all on this private agenda when we have a national security issue of our own out there, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is part of America. Okay, you look at the Americas portfolio. Hello, All of that is part of us. That's all been out there in negotiations. Okay? So America, our Treasury Department, our Department of Justice, and then I just recently heard that our FBI is holding hands with our Bar Association. So everybody's been compromised. Everybody. And your morale, people know when our country's being honest, and they know when they've been lied to. And the internet has made it even more evident how you have thrown our good-natured, trusting, powerful, we the people under the bus. Okay? So we really do need a sector-wide, especially 16 sector-wide, rededication to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And anything else that you guys have done with the Paris Treaty and all the other negotiated contracts and blah, blah, you're going to have to bypass everything. Rededicate the Constitution and the Bill of Rights so you have footing to fix what you broke with the administrative jurisdictions. Okay? Or have been handed what's been broke by the administrative jurisdictions. Okay, there's a book I want everybody to look at. John Lennon read it and cried after he read it, and it's called The One Sex. And this is a shout out to all moms, mom power. Okay, I went through my mothering years and was a foster mother at one point. And did mothering for like 30 years and really prioritized my life to mother. And any odd jobs that I did, cleaning houses or working in audits or blah, blah, I didn't do a career. I gave up my career to homeschool, to teach, to be a Christian, to give to the community, show my children, what I could show them. But after they all moved out and everybody was gone and I'm on my life and I have this heart attack in the middle of trying to rebuild my real estate brokerage, I go to the Social Security Administration and I'm telling them, this is what happened and I need to get some, disability insurance because I'm not the same person physically, not able to do what I did before by myself. I need to, reestablish my life, with this amount of strength that I have. So they told me, which is really interesting, they told me that I didn't contribute to the system. Dude. And then and that was such, I mean, I'm smiling now as I'm telling you that, but let me tell you something. I had a major meltdown. Couldn't believe it. My parents were never there for me to give my children to, hand my newborn children to call when they were sick, to call when I needed help. God moved powerfully by bringing people into my life, but those people aren't even in my life anymore. They're more in my children's lives. I shared the bond of my motherhood with other women to help me with my children, and they are now closer to my children than myself because I lacked the support to really rear my children, to reflect to my children that my life had value, okay? And you can't really stand for your own value while you're busy standing for other people's value, which is what I did with my children, and I put my children first. And so I could be guilty of spoiling my children or making my children more important than me, but before God, I don't have any apologies. My children needed so much care, and I tried with all my heart and gave my whole heart to it, as well as I gave my whole heart to serving God, as well as I gave my whole heart to being a pastor's wife. All these things that when I go to the Social Security Administration, they tell me that has no value, okay? Money is the only value. Okay, 1783 Paris Treaty. Okay. So anyway, guys, I want you to know that there is, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, you know, we're moving, she's patient, and she's like, we're moving slowly towards this freedom. But it has been very difficult. Now, when she said that it's better to do a step-by-step ruling, you know, to get to the final result of a verdict that will bring freedom, she's like, it's better to have this, you know, historical, you know, record of peace, you know, step by step, you know, we're going to this freedom. Well, I respectfully take issue with that specific thought, because we are running out of time. Okay, so we do need one big Hail Mary legislation to get us past this place of duplicity, past this place of compromise, past this place of this amazingly long-term inertia, and return to the constitutional value of sovereignty, okay, and all therein, all the structures, the infrastructures, everything, that we're going there, and that we have precedents to go there, because there's been such a duplicitous undermining. Okay, so I love you guys. As far as the privatization versus our national issues, there should be a structure that allows privatized remedy to move in position to assist our military in airlifting people out of crisis humanitarian issues, as well as you know, when push comes to shove, we're all there, right? So why not we be there? Why can't we just be there? You know? So yeah. Okay, guys. Love you. Bye-bye.